good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you? Welcome back to the channel. Tonight, there is a lot to talk about. In tonight's show, we're going to be talking about ExpressLRS 3.5. We're also going to talk about the fact that those little beavers at the ExpressLRS dev team have been beavering away in the background, and it looks like they're set to release something that will blow people's minds. It won't, but it's bloody good, and that is that they are going to introduce, hopefully, and I'm forcing them to do this by talking about it on the stream, is MSP DisplayPort capability on an ExpressLRS receiver, which means not necessarily OSD. Don't think about OSD. What it means is you can arm the O3 ear unit directly from the compatible receiver, which means for people who fly fixed-wing, ground-based vehicles, rovers, who don't have a flight controller, you won't have to spend loads of money. You will be able to arm it from the receiver directly. That is something that I have wanted for so long, so they've been doing that. We are also battery 2. You'll get battery voltage 2. And I'm harassing them to introduce another feature as well, which doesn't benefit ExpressLRS, but it benefits the community. So I want them to do that. I want them to force arming on an ExpressLRS receiver through it as well, just so you can use it as an arming method. It is amazing. We're also going to talk about... What else are we going to talk about? I've forgotten. It's so exciting, right? I've actually forgotten about what else I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk about Chris Ross's HS5 frame. We're going to talk about analog versus digital pricing, because I saw some interesting comments this week. And we're going to talk about the Dream X and Orca and a little bit more as well. However, before we do that, I'm going to do something. No, I want to go straight for this. No, I don't. I don't want to do that. I want the... No, I don't. Where is it? There. Okay. Now, I will be releasing this as a separate video, but I am also going to do it here on this live stream. I have made an error of judgment, and I now believe that I have made a mistake. Some time ago, I released a video talking about the fact that Rotor Riot, Fat Shark and Unusual Machines will be supplying parts to Red Cat to allow them to make FPV strike-capable drones. All of my comments around that were completely valid, and my stance around that remains exactly the same as it was before. Those brands, as far as I'm concerned, on my channel remain blacklisted for the direct weaponization of FPV drones. I don't personally have an issue with drones being used in military. What I have an issue with is FPV drones being used directly as a bomb-carrying device, as was shown in that video. Where I made an error, and where I now feel I was absolutely wrong, is that in that video, I highlighted the fact that the team pilots on Rotor Riot may have to think about their decision if they want to continue to do that. When I was on the Rotor Riot homepage, I proceeded to scroll down and highlight the names of the pilots and talk a little bit about it. And I did specifically say I don't want people to harass them. However, I have come to the conclusion, having watched that video back, that it was completely unnecessary for me to do that. I didn't need to bring those guys involved. I didn't need to highlight them as part of that video. I should have kept it about the company and left those pilots out of it. As a result of this, I personally and directly apologize to Vanover, Bubby FPV, Let's Fly RC, Crickets FPV, and DEVX. I should not have brought your names up in that video. I was wrong. I have listened to your feedback. I have seen the comments. And whilst we won't agree on what I feel about Rotor Riot, Fat Shark and Unusual Machines, I made an error I made a mistake. I should not have dragged you into it. And for that, all I can do is apologize. There will be a dedicated video saying this as well coming up on the channel probably after this live stream goes live. That video will continue to be there. I make a mistake. I hold my hands up to it. I am not infallible. I am human. But looking back, I did make an error. Now, my last thing I'm going to say on this is I don't care about companies making military drones. I never cared about Rotor Riot having an involvement with Red Cat. What I cared about is taking an FPV drone from a company who pushes to be good for the hobby and showing that there was ordnance attached to the bottom of it. That is directly weaponizing FPV from skies to eyes is the term I'll use, is going to cause more harm than it will ever cause good. And I cannot support the way that Unusual Machines and Red Cat are promoting this. We all know other brands are military based. We all know other brands, including Orca that I talked about the other day, have military parts, have military arms. But to be clear, that was never my issue. My issue was the direct weaponization of FPV drones with strike capabilities and directly advertising that as a service that you offer. So that is my stance on that, and I am leaving that there. That was it. That's all I've got to say on it, but there's no need for people to keep saying, oh, hypocrite, oh this, or oh that. So that's it. I apologize to bringing those guys into it because I didn't need to do that, and I've watched that video back. But we all make mistakes. Now, let me grab my cup of tea so we can get on with the show. Okay, so let's get on with the main element of the show. So tonight, ExpressLRS. So the dev teams over there have been beavering away, and the first thing that they've released is this, which is release candidate 3.5. Now, 3.5 is quite a big update, actually, when you look at it. It brings a lot to the table, some really cool stuff. New features, official Mavlink support for ExpressLRS is there, which is fantastic to see. We have enhanced backpack support, really cool. We have the new FSK modes for the new LR chipsets. These are the amazing new chipsets that seem to be available now, and they just look really cool. And what the dev team have said is they've added K mode support for sub 2 gigahertz. And let me just highlight this. Let me just say this. The maximum packet rate for sub gigahertz 868-900 is now 1,000 hertz. They have gone from 200 hertz to 1,000 hertz. That's a 5 times increase. That is insane. What that now means is for racing, sub gigahertz is as viable as 2.4. That's just insane. That really, really is. It also means that they've introduced the magic of the error correction and all of that stuff into there. So it's just incredible, just incredible. I will be talking about this in a separate video because it warrants a separate video. That will come in the future. They've added native smart audio and Tramp VTX support. That is really cool as well. So again, whereas I was discussing earlier, the guys were bringing support for MSP, you've now got smart audio and tramp, which means you can connect it directly to a VTX and control it. Absolutely spot on. There's new support for new ESP chipsets, add link stats on the module display, add optional secondary serial device to ESP receiver. This is cool. This would be cool, Wes, for a second MSP output. New configuration for the LR1121 chipsets, firmware upload, all of that nonsense. And here's another one. Allow flash in a receiver into a transmitter. So you can basically take a receiver with high output and turn it into a transmitter. Amazing. Just amazing. Also, lots of other stuff in here as well. Bluetooth joystick, button event. You can add a fan now onto receivers as well. All of this stuff, really, really cool. But they really have done an amazing job. They really have. And I think there's a lot of excitement around what is going to come in the future. These new chipsets that they've added support in ExpressLRS, the LR1121, offers an incredible amount of capabilities, an incredible amount of possibilities, and it's going to be interesting to see what comes around that in the future. Now, as always with this dev team, okay, these guys work for free, and they do have an open collective page, okay? If you want to support this project, please, please, please consider contributing for the work that they do. We all know Wes needs to be able to keep up his supply of beard oil and incense sticks. He isn't able to develop code unless he's had at least 3 hours of stick sniffing time in the morning, and he needs to make sure that his beard is oiled for each of his day's journeys. So again, please do make sure you support the team there. It's not just Wes, it's, I can never say his name properly, Jay, it's Captain Bright, it's all of the amazing developers on the dev team. Please consider supporting them. It's about time I made another contribution, and I will do that off the stream because it's about time I did it. So please, please, please do, because what they've given us is incredible. The continued work, the continued features, and they deserve payment alone. And I want you to all hold them to this MSP support. And my justification for that is then allowing and supporting, I should say. I don't allow, I'm not in control, pushing you guys to support them on Open Collective. It is really cool what Wes is talking about with the arming. He did share a picture on the Discord, which is here, which shows Protocol 2 display port. What I would also love to see, and I have said this, is one of two other possibilities. I'd love to be able to flash just an ExpressLRS receiver, an EP1 and EP2, to force ARM O3. No ExpressLRS functionality, but I would just love a way of saying this receiver now becomes a permanent auto armor for the O3 air unit. So people can take $6, $7, $8 receivers, flash them with this custom build, and it just forces ARM on boot every time. I would love, I know it doesn't really benefit the ExpressLRS project, but it would be amazing to have that functionality. I would really love you to actually be able to have a second receiver that, as long as it's got the same bind phrase, picks up the arming command from your radio and then sets O3 to arm. So you have two, say, EP1s in your quad. You have an EP1, which is your main receiver on your UA on CRFS, and then you have your second one, which is attached to O3, that picks up the Channel 5 arming command only from your receiver to arm the O3 and remains armed until it officially receives a disarm command. That would be very cool as well. Dual receivers already work, just cool. So all we need then is this to also work on non-PWM receivers. I assume... So I assume if you set this on a single non-PWM receiver, it just overrides the UART into MSP. Is that correct? It just turns the UART into an MSP. Give these people your money. Now. Give these people your money. They are just 2 steps ahead of it. Just bob on. So, that's it. That is ExpressLRS. I'm going to do a dedicated video on some of the new stuff in this, probably in a week or two's time, and we will talk about it then. Now, the next subject I want to talk a little bit about is DJI. I didn't have this in the doc because I didn't have enough space in the title, but obviously I put out a video this week on O3 and the issues that definitely seem to be coming to light. And what's been interesting is the feedback and the comments on that video, and it is really clear to me today that there is something fairly broke with O3 on the Goggles 3, and whilst it isn't affecting everyone, there are just too many people talking about this for it not to be a real thing. Now, we don't know anymore. Look, the truth is, I made the video to try and put some pressure on DJI. That's what I do here on this channel. I know they've seen it because DJI support is posting all over it. Genuinely, I'm tempted to ban them from posting on my channel because at the moment, the DJI support bot or the support person is telling people to check their antennas and make sure they've updated their firmware. However, I'm hoping the message gets back on this to someone who might listen. Now, there are comments, as Skydozer has said there, of people saying it about Goggles 2. It's definitely clear it's on Goggles 3. I'm just not sure on Goggles 2. What I would say to everyone is this. If you are having this, reflash your firmware and feedback again. Do me a favor. If you are having this and you're having it, reflash the firmware of all parts via Assistant 2 and try it again and let me know. I would not be shocked if DJI had quietly tweaked things in the background and not even done a new revision. They have history of doing that. So, if you are experiencing this issue, try upgrading your firmware, refresh it on both O3 ear unit and goggles, and let me know. I wouldn't be shocked if they've already fixed this. It's a weirdie. Now, the comments from people are when this happens, that they only get O3 return on disarm or reboot. Most people seem to get it come back on disarming, which is really weird. What is also clear from some people who've tried, and I can't ask the usual guy who'd be flying long range because he's currently in a jail cell with his incense sticks and beard oil, is Goggles 3 users are reporting that O3 doesn't reconnect on signal loss either, even on long range flights, or when it does reconnect, it's like 50 meters from the home point. We've always known O3 was temperamental to reconnect compared to the original FPV system. It seems even worse on Goggles 3. Now, there is technically no reason for this other than DJI having a new chipset, and they've probably tweaked the settings in such a way that it doesn't recover very well. DJI O3 does work in a bit of a weird way. So when your signal is lost, it goes into like a polling mode on a separate frequency. So your ear unit stops transmitting video and it jumps to a polling frequency and just sends a signal, and your goggles wait on that frequency until it picks it up, and then it reestablishes the link. What we don't know is what the reestablishment requirements are. Has the signal got to be above a certain level? Is it expecting this or that? It's definitely the case that O3 behaves differently. It does jump to a lower power level, but it jumps to a lower carrier as well. I'm not going to call it 25 milliwatts because that's not really fair, but it's not blasting video. If you take Avatar HD, the way Avatar works is when it goes out a signal, the goggles are master and the VTX isn't. So the VTX actually stops transmitting on Avatar HD and it goes into standby, and your goggles continue to transmit on the channel it was on. If you remember, originally when Avatar came out, I complained that it went to low power mode when you went out a signal, and Cadex actually changed it based on that feedback. So there's definitely some quirks. Being honest, if you're flying long range, O3 isn't the right product. Genuinely today, if you're flying long range, Avatar HD or HD0. They're the two products for long range. DJI is just not set up for long range now. It just isn't. And DJI, I don't think will ever fix this. DJI have no interest in you being able to fly silly distance. The maximum range on DJI is different depending on the system. So O3 is officially 23.4 kilometers. The ear unit and Vista on the goggles V1 and the goggles V2 is 12 kilometers. The ear unit and Vista on the goggles 2, Integra, and goggles 3 is 30 kilometers. While the DJI system, there's this bordering range, right? After that, the video, it does just turn off. We believe it's a timing thing. DJI have... we think it's like a packet timing. They know how far it is away. We think there's just this, if the packet timing gets above a certain level, it just goes nope. It's not about signal. It's about the packet timing element is what we think it is, how they've done it. O3 with goggles 2 had been working very reliable for long-range flight for many. Yeah, look, this is either DJI... The chances are DJI have tweaked whatever the settings were in the goggles 3. Remember, it is a new chipset. I'm just going to... Did that change colour? This is the remote for my aircon. It's getting a bit hot in here, so I've just turned the aircon on. I don't know if you can hear the noise, the wind, because it's blowing air over me. But as I press that, I swear my LED changed colour. That was weird. Sorry. Yeah, it's clear DJI have done something on O3 with goggles 3 that is different. Its chances are it's minimum signal values or timing or something. They may improve this. We don't know. What I will say is this. There is technically, from a hardware perspective, nothing worse about goggles 3. This is all software. So whatever settings they've chosen a set of settings that now mean the link's re-establishment point has shifted compared to what it was happy to re-establish at before. So that's the score. It's all great with line of sight. Yeah, and look, this is long range, guys. And I would still say O3 is not ideal for the long range, guys. Does anyone know why walk-style VTXs on my drone with EP1 RXs don't start recording after arming? It might be just a coincidence. It's got to be a configuration for that ear unit. Remember, Avatar now saves the configuration for each ear unit. There is a setting for that in the goggles menu. I get OSD, but no arming. Remember, Avatar will now save the different settings per goggle, per VTX. If you get OSD and no arming, are you getting the Avatar OSD as well? So is the Avatar OSD showing the correct values? So the battery voltage and things like that. Oops, started early. Yes, I did. Yes, I did tonight. Look, in general, I wouldn't say O3 is ideal for long range. There is some particularly... As long as you've got good fail-safes, you're fine. But it doesn't have the same behavior as Avatar HD or HD0. They will come back straight away. O3 has always inherently taken some time to recover. I remember the long-range monkey said this when he first tested it. Is there a way to record with the moonlight independently of arming? Yeah, you can always press the record button on your goggles and that will tell the VTX to arm. You've always got the record button. The record button on the goggles will set it to record. It's as simple as that. What happens if you disarm? If you disarm, it will disarm. But you can turn off low power mode. Disable auto record. Yeah, if you disable auto record, it will ignore it. Disable auto record and then manually set it and you'll be fine. Okay. Before we move on, I'm currently building an 8-inch V2 on Moonlight in ExpressLRS 2.4, not 900. I'm wondering if it's a good choice. There are some crazy ranges on 2.4 gigs. It depends your area. It depends your region. I would personally, on a long-range rig, always go 868-900. I would just always go 868-900. Yeah, bad for life. I'm not really calling 10K long range. I'm talking long range as in 20 plus, the maximum distance, what you can push it to. I would always go for low frequency on long range birds. I'm still testing OpenIPC, so I've still been flying. I'm still testing. I haven't had as much flight time on it as I would have liked. I've had to take some time off that onto other projects. The one thing and the one sort of downside to OpenIPC is it is a time suck. Everything is working. Everything is okay. I've had to make some tweaks and changes to things. But look, it's a DIY project. That is a time suck. And it's not a bind and fly project that you plug it in and run off with and it works forever. There's settings changes, there's tweaks, there's all sorts of options that will be good for some people and it'll be bad for other people. I want to get a bit more flight time before I make some real other choices. It's it's a DIY system, and as such, it will eat your time. I can spend 3-4 hours messing with stuff and lose that in no time at all. I am still waiting for my other hardware to come as well. Everything I've seen so far is interesting. It's not perfect. It has potential. But I'll be honest, right? I haven't had a chance to even read the Telegram group for a week, okay? Yet, so much has already changed, and this is the problem. I think that I believe there's another app now. I've missed all of this, you see, because I've been tied up on other things. I believe there's another app. FPV View is not recommended anymore. And there's another app. So this is the thing. Things are changing so quick. It almost needs time to settle before you can really cover this as a project. I do know other people will be releasing their run cam video probably this week, I guess. I won't be releasing this. I might release this week. If I can get another couple of flights in, I'll release this week. But let's see. There's really no downsides to the run cam air unit. It's raw signal is complicated. It doesn't have the penetration of O3 and Avatar HD because it doesn't have packet retries. So it has this sort of, the term I use for it, it's more like the spectator mode behavior. It breaks up in the same places that Avatar and DJI break up, but the breakup is a lot different. There's no focus mode. You get more traditional blocking. It does lack penetration because it doesn't have the jack latency and send me that again. It does have a very Avatar-ish feel to the overall image quality. It has similar smearing to Avatar in the Luma, in the greens. But it was much better than I was anticipating. Genuinely, it was much better than I was anticipating. I was expecting a complete crap show. And it just isn't the case. Is it as good as Avatar HD and DJI? No. But if you were a fixed wing user, and I'll be honest, there is a guy who's been posting me videos on my Discord, he's been sending them to me, who is freestyling this on a whoop around his garden. And you cannot not be impressed. I'll be honest, it's hard not to be impressed at how it's behaving in that. But it's taken a lot of tweaking for him to get it to that. What it really lacks is, see, there's no, at the moment, there's no separate MCS rates. So you set the MCS rate and that's what you're stuck with. So at the moment, it's not variable. It's a bit like a one-trick pony, but you can change what that trick is. So if you want it to be a long-range system, you can sort of set it up as a long-range system. But it will only really sort of suit that. If you want it to be a short-range system, you can tweak it to be that. What it isn't out the box is great at all of them. And it is a big time suck right now. It is a big time suck, I'll be honest. I've got the hardware all working quite nicely now. It's not perfect. Have I showed video on this before I move on? I can't remember if I have. Let me just find it. I was so tentative on my first flight. It was crazy. The first flight, I can't... No, it's not that one. Let me just find it. It'll be this. I think I even flew... I can't remember, but I think I flew... angle mode. Because I wasn't willing to risk acro on a first flight. I can't remember what I do in this flight. So this is directly recorded by the ground station DVR. Okay? Now, you'll notice oh no, actually, sorry, this isn't the first video. That was a video where I started to have problems. I think this is the first video. Sorry, my videos are backwards. I got a breakup on arming, and I got this every time I armed. I got this breakup on arming. Now, if I'm right, this is my first flight. I was simply going, it's in the air, I'm looking around the field, does it work? Am I going to crash? Is it going to do anything? Is it even working at all? This was literally me babying it around, not knowing what the hell was going to happen. Now, you will notice some stutter. This is because of a mixed frame rate issue. You'll also notice in the grass, almost like swirls as you move around. Look, I'm not going to range test it because it's illegal to in the UK. I'll be testing it in the same places I test all the system penetration. This was my very first flight. I then dropped it into acro to have a look around. This was the very first flight of seeing what does it do? What does it look like? How is it behaving? How is the ground behaving? How is the sky behaving? Is it flyable? Is it going to suddenly lose video? All I wanted to do was baby it at this point because I needed to understand how it would behave. Notice the swirling. I noticed this. You get this swirling effect in the grass. But yeah, it works. It flies. It so far does what we expect. I was getting some random breakup. I can't remember. I can't remember if I went around the trees this time or not. This will give you an indication of what the breakup looks like. So, as it comes round, it starts to break up more like the V1 system. You can start to see the breakup. Now, I always get breakup behind these trees. But that gives you an indication of what the breakup looks like. Now, this was the very, very first flight. This was literally, what does it do? This is OpenIPC. So all I wanted to do was just see what it would do. It doesn't look too bad. There is a frame rate mismatch here, and that's why you're getting the juddering. So that was and I'll be honest, I didn't know what would happen. What I have noticed is two things. I always get this complete loss and loss of signal come back on arming. Yeah. And look, I have got some more where I started pushing it further, but I then had some issues, and I still don't fully understand why I had some issues. I am waiting on some of the boards to arrive. It does look, it's funny you say it, Simon. It does look a lot like Avatar. Genuinely, it does look a lot like Avatar. So, okay, the next subject. It's time to talk about this. So, for those who haven't seen, Chris has released his own DIY version of these ultra-fast frames that we've seen from the likes of the Red Bud Challenge, but they were not the first to do it. There are many, many people that these go back to. We were actually discussing this on my Discord the other day. And look, I don't know where credit's due, but Chris has released his own version, which is available for DIY of this frame. Chris is saying it can go up to 200 miles an hour. If we look on Chris's video there, Could have he made a drone? Could have he made a drone that looks any more like a bot? Chris, I should boycott Rotor at this rate based on what that looks like. Let's be honest. But yes, it's a very, very cool piece of kit, to be fair to him. He has offered to lend me his to give it a try. I should say yes. I've sort of avoided saying yes because I don't want to break it. I think I'm going to order one of the kits. I think I'll order one of the kits. It's an incredible piece of kit. It really, really is. I've been trying to think, explaining when the cops show up. That's for sure. It's, yeah, it's a beast. It's an absolute beast. I really do like, though, like what Chris has done with like the way the battery goes in. Some really ingenious stuff in it where you get the bottom off to put the battery in. Like he shows it here if you haven't seen. And do watch Chris's video. The Black Mamba, and then you unlock it for the battery on the bottom. He's done a great job on the design of this. Look, I'm not really sure it's gonna. I have seen some people worried about. Look, I think there's enough problems in drones. I don't really think the look of it is a little bit okay. You know, V2 anyone? If you yeah, it reminds you of something from World War II, but yeah, the intended purpose is good. It's a hell of a bit of kit. I don't know who the first is. It's hard to say because these things go back forever. Now, I have seen some comments on the price of this. I know there's been some people going, oh my God, it's $124. I'm going to be blunt. If you don't like the price, tough shit and don't buy it. Stop fucking whinging. This is not a mass-produced product. Chris is entitled to make money, but I'm going to go further than that. Chris also has a third party manufacturing the carbon fiber and another third party manufacturing the 3D printed parts. And if anyone thinks he's making loads and loads of money on this, you're delusional. You don't have to have this, so stop whining about the cost. If you want a cheap frame, go and buy a Mario 5 and a Speedy Beast stack and get on with your life. This is not for everyone, and it comes with a price. I saw pricing on it, people commenting on the cost of the kit. $124. It's a bargain. And remember, Chris has the guys doing the carbon fiber, and he has Brain 3D doing the prints. He is paying multiple people here. And he's entitled to make money if he's designed it and put the time in. So, and it makes me laugh because people whinge about cost and something like that. This isn't Chris's hobby anymore. Chris is full-time now, almost. I think Chris is actually almost full-time now. It's not a hobby. Chris is not full-time. It's not, sorry, working anymore. Yeah, this is part of his job now. AOS is almost full-time. He left his position. Yeah, I do believe he did. Chris is all in now. Look, it's a product if you want it. It's a hell of a bit of kit. I would love... Yeah, well, he is an engineer. And I think he does freelance. FPV is most 40-year-old professionals and yet the biggest bunch of whingers. I would love a carbon fiber shell version. I would pay. That's not going to be cheap, but I would love a carbon fiber shell version. But yeah, very nice bit of kit indeed. Not for everyone. Not for everyone. But yeah, very cool. I'll make it for $2,000. That's where it's going to cost. He has also released a new version of the... What else has he released? I can't remember which one it was. He's also released something else. He's released... What else has he done? It's the AOS 7 version 5. So there's a new AOS 7 version 5 as well. Where is it? Where is it? Long range. So you've got Ultra UL5 and ULX5. So he does have his new ones. Chris loves a good render. I'm going to criticize him for his renders. Rosser, I want proper pictures. I criticize everyone else for it. Pull your finger out. Less of the renders. As I criticize everyone else for it, I can't not criticize him, can I? He's also posted a video about this today. Oh, no, that's the 5 version 5, isn't it? So you said the first one on the homepage, is it? Let's have a look. All products. There it is. Sorry, I was looking on the wrong one. Does PCB weigh CNC carbon fiber plate? Probably, yeah. I also do believe he's got a lot of other stuff in the works as well, as always. So, yeah, nice frame. As always. Chris makes good frames. Chris does make good frames. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. The blue ones are nicer. Yeah. Is it safe to connect Moonlight to a 9-volt pad or connect it FC 9-volt pad? It depends what your FC is. What's the minimum voltage on the Moonlight? That thing does consume some power. I can't remember. What is the minimum voltage on the Cadex Moonlight? Should we check on the specs? I can't remember. Talk about renders. 7.4. You'll be all right on 9. As long as your flight controller can do... You're going to want 2 amp at 9 volt on that, though. So make sure the 9 volt pad can do 2 amp. I have seen Chris criticise for updating designs too much for more money, or is it just better? I think Chris is probably... Look, Chris is an engineer and his brain never stops thinking. Can you criticise Chris for constantly redesigning his frames? You could if you couldn't get parts for the old ones. But as far as I am aware, you can always get parts for Chris's frames. So if you go to CNC Drones and you go Frame Designer and you go Chris Rosser and you go Replacement Parts and then you go, I want parts for AOS. I want the AOS version 1. So let's find the original AOS 5, shall we? AOS 5 version 1.2. AOS... I don't know if the 1.2 is the same as the 1.1, so let's look. As long as you can still get all of the parts, then there should be no criticism. The only time there can be criticism is if you can't get the parts. But my understanding is you can always get parts for Chris's drones. So the 1.2, I think the 1.2 is the same as the 1. So I believe you can use the 1.2 parts on the 1, if I recall. So as long as you can get parts, there's no criticism. Does that mean people are always going, oh, but I could have had the next best frame? Yeah, but there'll always be something better. If you want something better, never buy anything, because you'll never be happy, because there will always be the next best product. I'm trying to turn my aircon off and it's not listening. There will always be the next best product. There will always be the next best frame. So as long as the parts are available, I can't criticize. Where I will criticize, and this is a problem, is the likes of SpeedyBee and others. So if you take the Mario 5 is a great frame today, but how long are you going to get parts for it? I have earlier SpeedyBee frames that you can't get arms and stuff for. So constant innovation is fine as long as the parts are continuously available. That's my stance on it. So as long as Chris still makes available the parts to be available, or you to be able to buy them, and I don't see why there isn't through this system that he has. My issue is if we already up to a version 5 was the original just crap. I think you're always going to learn. Every time, it's the same as I make stuff on 3D. I 3D print a lot of stuff, and I'll design something, and then I'll tweak it, and then you're always going to do it. The problem is if you wait, you'll never release. Look, if Chris had a business mind, he would still be on version 2 now and making you all wait. But Chris is giving you the opportunity to have his latest and greatest as soon as he's done it. He's not holding you back and pocketing years' worth of designs. He's constantly just going, oh, I've come up with a better idea on this. Boom. And because of the model Chris has, that there is an independent company doing the CNC cutting, he can constantly innovate. He can constantly do it. It's not that it's bad. I've got a version 1 AOS here. It's fantastic quad. The version 2 is phenomenal as well. They're both good quads. It's just... you do it and you think, oh, I could do that better, or I'll change this, or I'll change that. You know, tweaks. It's innovation continuing. So I just don't think it's a bad thing. I just don't think it's a bad thing. I don't really think the new AOS 5 is better by a country mile than the AOS version 2. The 2 is phenomenal. I just think it's got newer features. You know, this engine has 10 more horsepower. This engine has, 50 more horsepower. You're getting improvements in design, improvements in vibration isolation, things like that. But if it doesn't mean the early one's bad. I'm still not sure what the benefit is of the new frames. It flies really well, but so did the early ones. It's just what's best today. Someone asked, sorry, Super Deluxe, and I'm going to come up. Wait, before I get to Super Deluxe's question, I need to get to the Super Chat because the Super Chat came in and I missed it. R1M Dog 78. Good morning from Adelaide, Australia. Thank you for the $10 Australian Super Chat. That's incredible, my friend. I really do appreciate it. Super Deluxe, thoughts on the new TBS 55 ESC? Gorilla mount is my thoughts. Who asked for another mount that won't fit our frames? I welcome anyone, any company making more products for FPV, but I'm sorry, making an ESC that doesn't fit a standard frame mounting pattern is bullshit, it's nonsense, it's unnecessary, unneeded, and there is no good argument for it. There just is no good argument. Yeah, I know it comes. Does it come with the adapter, or have you got to buy the adapter? Does it come with the... Does it actually come with it? It doesn't need a redesign. Everyone else manages to design a 20 by 20 and a 30 by 30 without a problem. They could have. There is no question it's decent value. If you look at the cost here, there's no question, $54.95. So if it comes to the bracket, what's the point? It just, I'm sorry, I would love to, I'm not saying it's a bad ESC. I do keep meaning to order one of these in and have a look at it, because I should show it on the channel. I should promote TBS. There is no good reason not to promote TBS on the channel. I will get off my arse and order the stack in this week. But I'm sorry, it's nonsense. I don't accept. It's done for the sake of it. If they had made it standard fitment at that price, whew, what's not to like? What's not to like? That's going to be really hard to get into some frames at that length as well. It is going to be hard to get into some frames at that length, even with an adapter. By the time you're going to be pressing up against some of the shorter frames in that. See, I'm already getting angry now. You left all this empty space in the middle when you could have made that, and that go there, and then put normal bloody mounting posts in. But no, you chose not to. Instead, you chose to make it longer and put the FET on the end and leave a big space in the middle that isn't used and no one needs. Why? I know, I'm going to make an ESC with a big space in the middle that I can go and play cricket on when I'm not flying. Gorilla. It's the mount that makes me angry. Have I flipped over to see the other side? Yeah, they could have put some of that into the gaps as well. I know there's no space that side. If you look at the other side, there's no space, but there is space. There's gaps. Every other EFC seems to do it. Anywho. Calm. For those who don't know, I have a Patreon. Please consider supporting via the Patreon if you don't know. Yeah, you got to take into account with that OpenIPC board on Runcam, it's a dev board. It's not final production. The thing to understand with the Runcam OpenIPC board is that it's not even hello, Sean. The RF board is not made by Runcam. The RF board has been bought in. They are using an off-the-shelf RF board. As I've got two on the bench here somewhere. So Runcam have just drilled holes in it and fitted it. But it is in their sort of prototype section. I am waiting on the official OpenIPC ear units. I have two of them coming. Sean, thank you for the £5 super chat. That's incredible. Thank you, my friend. I hope you're well. He had 300 amp. Is anyone complaining they don't get enough current from their ESCs? Again, it could do 500 amp. It could do 1,000 amp. Do we need it? Well, funny enough, DK, I was going to ask. I was going to say this, actually. I I hope you are all enjoying your new head tracking board and your analog input capable board for the Avatar HD system, because Cadex obviously announced that they did it. They'd fixed everything. Everything was done. They announced this on the 3rd of July. They announced this, that we did it. High five. Yo, we are amazing. We've done it. We've listened. It's all good. It's the 1st of September. I can't say anymore. I just can't. Cadex, just Cadex. What can you do? What can you do? They are apparently sending me the missing bag for my goggles and this board, but I haven't seen it yet. They make it hard. They just make it hard. Now, the next subject I want to talk about is analog versus digital on cost, because this review caused a bit of a stir this week with loads of people complaining, hey, it's way too expensive for analog FPV. I'd expect digital for that money. And I do think a lot of people missed the point with this aircraft. So, the Dream X by Orca is an analog freestyle FPV quad, okay? It's made in Europe. So, let's get clear about some stuff first of all. You're not going to get a Chinese 199 iFlight pricing with a quad that's made in Europe. It's not going to happen. It's just not. So you have to accept that it's manufactured in Europe. That comes with a cost. You may not want that. I understand that. But that is a reality, okay? With regards to the cost of analog, I do think people's perception hasn't bent enough yet on how cheap digital has got, because I've spent some time looking at this, right? And if we go on to Get FPV, for instance, right? And we have a look. I've put a Rush Tank Solo in there, which is 1 watt. Still not quite the RF power output that this VTX can get, but fair enough. And if we put in a T-Rex, let's put in a T-Rex camera as well. So an analog setup today is 11498. There, okay? Let me get out the way. For what is deemed a decent analog pricing, kit pricing. Now, you can get an Avatar HD VTX for that, right? You can absolutely get an analog HD VTX for that. So, when it comes to talking about plus antenna, yeah, agreed. That's a good point. Let's shove something cheap on it, though. I don't know. What we want? Something fairly cheap. Nothing too expensive. That is high quality analog. That's what this is. That is what this is. See, people will go in, this is expensive. So I'm doing, yeah, let's go Lollipop. Spelt it wrong. Ooh. Oh my God, they really haven't got FPV, come on. Where's FPV on you? Is it under electronics? No. Where do they actually have... Oh, at the top. I'm blind. FPV antennas. There we go. I'm just trying to find something that's cheap and not totally crap. Price, low to high. Look, let's just choose something equivalent. Okay, there you go. That's because you'd get that with a CAD-XA unit. So let's just choose that as an equivalent. $122. So you're talking $122. It does. It's a horrible website. $122 for a quality analog FPV setup. And that isn't even, right, at the same power output as this. So when people talk about cost of digital, you have to understand digital has dropped dramatically. Avatar HD, you can get the Avatar VTXs. You can get the basics VTX for like 99. But if we go for the V2, so let's go for HD version 2. There you go. 149, 139, 139. You can get the CAD-X. Look, there you go. 139. It's $10 more. It's like or $15 more. Digital has dropped in price substantially. So it's not fair to compare analog to digital. I can get digital for that. Yes, you can. That's a reality. That is a fact. Now, there is no question that there are many Chinese companies banging out some very cheap, ready-to-fly quads. It's ridiculous. You know, if we look at iFlight, they are banging out some insane value 5-inch analog quads. As I said, I have the Eco here. It is phenomenal. It is phenomenal for the money. It really is incredible. But look at that. The Nazgul XL5 Eco 219. It's ridiculous. But it does not the same product. It's not, you know, you're going to pay for made in Europe. Now, as I said in the video, I think this is actually a freaking good quad. A really good quad. I have some thoughts on the Orca remote system, which I will share in the video for that. It has the worst arm button. The worst arm button I have ever come across on a remote controller. It's just unfindable. In fact, let me see if I can find the video because you will laugh your heads at. There is a flight where I landed. I couldn't disarm. I'm pressing the button going, it's not working. Why is it not working? And it turned out I wasn't pressing the button. I was pressing the other button. But it was driving me mad. But because air mode had kicked in as well, let me just find it. You will laugh your nuts off at this. Is it the first? Is it the second one? Let me just find it myself. Let me mute it. So, here you will see, and I was literally having a brain hemorrhage over this, right? So I was coming in and landing, and I'm disarming, and I'm like, why is it not disarming? And I'm like, what is going on? It won't disarm. And I'm pressing the button and I'm like, what the hell is going on? What? And I'm like moving my fingers around going, what the freaking hell is going on? And I lift the hair and you go, what the frick? And I was like, oh. There it is. I couldn't get the button. I'm pressing what I think is the button. And I'm like, it's not working. It's not working. Why is this not working? And my brain is going, what is going on? Why is this not happening? And it's because the button, let me get the remote. The button, right, is sunk. So you've got a switch and a button, okay? But the problem is the switch has a bit of a feel like it's the button. And I was here going, what? I'm pressing going, what the hell? And I was moving around and I just couldn't find it. I couldn't find the button. It's just right round the corner for me. It's too far. It's too far round. And I was sort of going, and I seem to be going everywhere but on it. And then I found it there. So that's about I actually, genuinely, honestly, I actually really like the handset. As a handset, it's actually very good. But I just couldn't find it. I just couldn't find the button. That was on my second flight. I was like, what's going on? But then I had a brain. The problem was I then had my brain going, is the remote controller playing up? Is there something wrong? Not your stupid fat fingers are not finding the button. But it felt like an eternity when you're sitting there going, why is this not working? I need some like grip or something on the button. The remote is actually decent. I actually do like the remote. It's a big gamepad controller and it's very nice in the hands. It's not bad at all. But that arm button, that's a letdown for me. It's a novel design, yeah. It's not a bad remote. And they have a full simulator it works with as well, which is quite cool. But yeah, I have to say, actually, look, I know Orca's a bit of a... People like talking about Orca and don't. I have to say, this is a very nicely made quad. Genuinely, it flies really, really well. It really, really does. It's a very, very good piece of kit. Interesting. I'm going to do a video on the Orca goggles. Something we've all forgotten as well is, you know, the Orca goggles are the only goggle that allows HDMI recording. And I'm going to address this because I've banned someone off my channel who is a dick. Because he's doing my head in. And he keeps leaving comments on my channel. But then when I say, and he goes, yeah, well, I don't watch you anymore since you lied about the HD0 goggles having DVR recording of HDMI. And he keeps bringing this back up, going, I don't trust you anymore since you lied about the HD0 goggles. So here's the truth. Early testers of the HD0 goggles were told that there would be DVR recording on HDMI. In fact, very early firmware had it working, as far as I understand. However, Carl made a choice that he was not going to introduce it due to the complications around HDCP and copy protection. This is actually documented on GitHub as well. There is a GitHub discussion on this where it said it will not be happening. Yet I'm accused of making an error because I said something I was told about that would be coming in the future. And it makes me laugh because this person just keeps posting, and he likes to post, well, he liked to post, he can't no more because I've kicked him off. But he liked to post negative comments, and he'd say something and it'd be like, I don't trust you anymore since you said the HD0 goggles will have DVR recording. I was told that was the case. It was discussed on the HD0 Discord as well, and my understanding is the goggle is capable, but Carl chose not to add it. Because of the complications around that. Now, let me just see if I can find the GitHub about this, because there is a GitHub about it as well. I don't know if I can. I found it the other day. But look, that was the situation. So early testers even believed it worked. But it makes me laugh. You just can't win with some people. You just cannot win. Let me see. Oh, I might have found it. There we go. So, this talks about it here, right? When using HDMI source, someone added in January last year about it. It was asked if it could happen. It would be a great feature. One of the early testers did have it, and I know a number of people, I believe, did have it, or it was coming. And Legion wrote, due to copyright issues, we will not add this feature. So the feature was pulled. Okay? It was originally discussed, it was originally baked in, but it was pulled. I didn't lie. Someone might record a movie using their goggles. Yeah, I know. It's a bit thing. But what is interesting is the Orcas, the FPV pilots, are the only goggle that do record HDMI. Works really well as well. It does actually work really well. For OpenIPC and things like that, it's going to be a good option, the Orca goggle. Right, I just need to catch up on the super chat. Alex FPV, you have €1. Thank you for that, my friend. And DKFPV, a new member. Thank you for that. Orca do make a bloody good goggle. There's no question about that. What do you think is the best price quality action cam? I don't care if it's older. The best is still GoPro. The best is without doubt still GoPro. I think the 10 has been... The 9 and the 10 was somewhat peak. We are around the corner. From the new DJI and the new GoPro. There doesn't look to be 1 inch coming anytime soon to any of these cameras. They still seem to be smaller sensors, although DJI appears to have an all-new sensor. I called it on the DJI. The Pro feature, I nailed it on the Pro feature. I want to show you guys something on X. So, there were some comments ages ago about the new DJI and what the Pro feature might be, right? So you'll laugh at this. So I'll show you this, because this is true. So, a while back, Osler V, who's one of the DJI leakers, showed a picture of the new Action 5 Pro and said, what's the Pro that you promised? July 14th. And I wrote, DJI wireless mic compatibility without receiver, Pro feature. Right? Look on the back of the box. It says DJI microphone connection without receiver. Directly to it. Nailed. I knew what DJI was going to do. And it's not because I'm clever and it's not because I'm psychic. It's because DJI is all about iteration, slow steps forward, and then widening compatibility within their own product groups. I could see it already. Pro feature. Oh, what would be a pro feature? Allowing the microphone to work without a receiver so you can just use the two together because pros are going to want audio. But yeah, it is looking, it says an all-new sensor. 1/1.3. Be interesting to see on the DJI OLED display. 4 hours. There's not a lot here. We're around the corner from this. We're around the corner from the new GoPro as well. There's nothing exciting here, though. As far as I understand, there's really nothing exciting here, though. The only thing I do wonder, and I saw the images on the new GoPros. What number is this going to be for the GoPro? Is this the 12 or is this the 13? I'm losing track. 13. The images I've seen for the new this. If this is right, that is a crap ton of cooling on this. I wonder why there's so much cooling on this camera compared to the other one. It is a crap ton of cooling. Interesting. It just intrigues me over the standard. But the standard GoPro doesn't have anywhere near this much cooling on it. Super Deluxe can confirm it is true. Images there of heat sinks. But, you know, when you look at the standard version, there doesn't seem to be remotely that much cooling on it. There's a little bit down here. But, yeah, interesting. The GoPros do still seem to be the best camera. It'll be interesting, though, to see if DJI finally fully catch up. Gotta be 8K. Could be. Mini 11 had a lot of issues. Ram Donko, why are all the Digi systems different? Isn't some business copy-paste in DJI hardware? You can't copy what DJI have done. That's why you don't see anything similar. Yeah, it would be good to see a DJI Action 2 equivalent. It'll be interesting to see what DJI do bring. You know, there's lots of rumours now. I don't know how far off. It could be a lot smaller, and perception is difficult to see it. Yeah, I've not tried the 4. People have said this. The Action 4 is better than the GoPro. It's pretty close to Action 2 in size. Jesus, that's a lot smaller than I thought. It's a bit wider. That's interesting. And the 4's better. Interesting. I haven't tried the 4. I I may buy the 4 when DJI release the 5. Sorry, the 5. I may buy the 5 Pro. To be honest, I may buy it. The last one I bought was the Action 2. I may buy the 5. It's about time. It's the same as the O4 ear unit, I believe. O4 ear unit is well off yet. Well off yet. No, and that's the point, Super Ducks. That's always been the issue, is dynamic range. DJI have always struggled with dynamic range. I'm betting 2024 O4 release. I wouldn't. I would bet February, at least February 25. At least February 25. Based on everything I know. Everything is running late. Even DJI is running late. DJI is behind on everything at the moment. That's why the Neo hasn't launched. We haven't seen the new goggles yet. They're well behind. O4 is well behind them. You could potentially get a December if they really pull their finger out, but no chance yet. No chance yet. Why has DJI units gone on sale? DJI sell like 6 months in advance. Just remember that. DJI always start their sales a good 6 months before the next products. They don't sell 3 months before. They never have. Just look at how long the Integras were on sale and the Goggles 2 were on sale before the Goggles 3 and Navata launched. It was forever. DJI tend to sell about 6 months before the next product. Someone has said because O4, O3 was overpriced. It's not overpriced. It's too cheap. It's way too cheap. Way too cheap. Considering what is in it, that thing is a bargain. About 6 months for DJI. Sales are usually, if you look at their mini series, you look at everything, they clear down, they start to sell down about 6 months in advance. As for why they price dropped O3, it's not clear. It could be related to O4. It could be they're sitting on loads of stock. I can't imagine it being a big seller, if I'm honest. I can't imagine it being the biggest seller. I suspect they're selling as many Vistas as O3, if I'm honest. Well, it's overpriced if you want an action camera in one. What you got to look at is what would it cost to replace O3 with an action camera in an ear unit, and it would be substantially more. O3 is a bargain when you consider what you're getting. It's overpriced if you consider you don't want the DVR. If you were to replace you price a Vista and an Action 2, that's a fair comparison. What's an Action 2 going to cost today? I don't know what DJI charge for the Action 2 now. It's got to be years still, in it. They were selling it. Yeah. I do have the new Thumb 2. I have it in stock. I have done 1 or 2 flights on it. I am waiting for the Gyroflow lens option because the lens... Have they released the lens profile yet? They hadn't done it in the middle of the week. Until there's a Gyroflow lens profile, I'm not going to really pay any attention to it. I do have it here. I was flying it earlier in the week. The Action 4 is all... Yeah. 'Cause, 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 'cause Nothing I've seen really excites me in it. I can't be bothered to make a custom lens profile. I haven't got the time. Genuinely, when it comes to products for review, I haven't got the time to mess around when manufacturers haven't done it themselves. It gets what it gets. It's not my job to make their product look better than it has to if they haven't provided a lens profile. I'm waiting for them. They've said they're going to release it. They haven't done it yet, so that's what I'm waiting on. I do have some footage from it. There was nothing exciting. Genuinely, it looks okay. I gave the update at the start, Sully Rums. I do have the image from it. Video. Actually, where do I have the video from it? I definitely have the video from it. The question is what I've done with it. What have I done with it? Ah, there it is. Couldn't find it. That's bench. That's more bench. Let's have a look. This was one quick beach flight I did with it the other day. So this is one of the test flights. I left a chunk recording at the start so I could have a look at what the video image quality looked like. I do this with a new camera. This was just, I think this was the first flight I ever had on it. Just to have a look. I was getting some vibration from bent props in this video. It looks okay, but you can see I'm getting jello. Some of this is related to the fact I had bent props. But it is still picking up jello. But again, the props were quite bad. There should be a better... What's the last one? That was... This was on a fresh set of props. So this was on a fresh set because I swapped the props. It does mush a little bit. But it looks okay, but the light is starting to go down a little bit here now. It looks okay, is what I'd say. For the size of it, it looks okay. I was just really just trying to see what does it look like? What does it move like? It was a little bit windy here. And then I can't remember what else I did in this fight because this was the last pack. So I might have tried to get low to the water. I tend to just try and cruise the waves back and forth just to try and get some footage to have a look at what it's like. This was 60 frames a second on it. Yeah, tiny whoops and 3 inches. Absolutely. I think it'll be fine. Yeah, I was still getting some jello there. I was always watching for the birds. There's always birds on the beach. Every time. So they're like, it looks okay, but they never tend to look great. They just don't ever tend to look as good as DJI or anything like that. They just don't. You know. But yeah. Yeah, no, there's always seagulls on the beach. Session 5, basically. Yeah, look, it's hard. I'm not great Osmo 4 or 5 will blow your mind. Yeah, I do need... I'm going to wait for the 5 and order it. I don't even know. I'm not... When I look at some of these cameras, my expectations now is I always want better than what's best. So I look at what's there. But yeah, I'm probably going to dive into the Action 5 Pro. Is probably what I'm going to do. Right. It's time for Q&A before we wrap this stream up. I went early tonight. And because Bardwell is too lazy to stream. He's a really lazy bloke, is Bardwell. So as he's too lazy to stream, I went early. Hotbird doesn't translate well. Bardwell's in jail. I don't think he's in jail. No idea, DK. The Para AR drone is an old piece of kit now. Thanks, Focal Point. You need an older version of Android. Yeah, I was going to say that's an old bit of kit now. Have DJI got the Action 4 on sale yet, do we think? Let's have a look. Should I wait for an Action 5? Are there any sale deals on the Action 4 or not? Standard combo. No, that's a bit expensive. What would cause the OSD to disappear? I would check your flight controls... percentage of use, what the load is on the flight controller first of all, and then I'd be looking at the wiring. But what should happen is if you lose wiring, the OSD should stick, not completely vanish. If it completely vanishes, that's a bit weird. Is it on sale in the US? Is it? Yeah, it's not on sale over here. MSP. What about MSP? I discussed the ExpressLRS MSP support coming soon at the start of the video. No OSD. What mic am I using? What mic am I using now? If you're on about this one, this is the Rode Pod mic attached to the Rode Caster Pro 2. What happened to Bacon Ninja? Where is Bacon Ninja? Ah, and then GPS OSD. That's an interesting one. It's happened to me twice, and then MSP setting goes to -1 on its own, and it needs to be 0. That's weird. I'd be speaking to the Betaflight dev team. Why is Bacon Ninja? Bacon Ninja's been missing in action for a year, yeah. What it could be is if suddenly GPS is not available, comes up with a warning in the middle of the flight, and GPS OSD disappears. What could it be if I suddenly get GPS not available, comes up as a warning in the middle of the flight, and GPS OSD disappears? Probably the UART to the GPS. I'd be looking at wiring. you could have a loose connection on the UART, so that it's just not picking up the GPS. If there are major price drops in the US, why doesn't DJI... Yeah, you get variations in DJI's price dropping. Like, if we look on the O3A unit, I don't think it's dropped in the EU, has it? What have I got in a basket? What have I ordered? What have I thought I was going to order? Let's have a look, shall we? I don't know what it is. Oh, goggles Integra. Well, I'm not ordering them. I think the tax situation makes it difficult in the EU. Yeah, still 209 in the UK. No sale. It could also be where they've got lots of inventory. So they may not have overstock in Europe and they have overstock in the US. This could be that DJI was just sitting on a bunch of overstock in certain countries. DJI rebate retailers in the US and the price drops. I guess so. I don't know for sure, but I would guess so. Anyone had EV comp setting in goggles 2 unchangeable? That would usually mean you're in manual mode. You wouldn't have EV if you're in manual camera mode. Or that the O4 is dropping next week. Yeah, it's not dropping next week. I can promise you it is not dropping next week. Genuinely, everything I've heard on the grapevine, the whispers on the grapevine is not this year. We don't know for sure. Okay, so none of this is fact. But the grapevine is usually fairly accurate. If you look at... Look, I get told things. I'm not the oracle. I don't know this myself. I get told things. I get told things by many people, and there are people I trust without a single doubt. And then there are people who sort of confirm things, and it's quite funny because I can hear things, and then 2 or 3 months later I hear something else about the same thing, and it's like, oh, so it's spread to there now. The grapevine has many branches and many leaves, and it's generally fairly accurate. But look, this is speculating. What I can tell you is the grapevine has never let me down, and the grapevine so far has been very accurate. And all of the noise I've got on the grapevine is that we're waiting on the DJI box goggle, which is next. The Neo is going to drop soon. Look, I think the Neo's delayed. The Neo has been delayed, I think, because of the goggle, if I'm honest. My feeling with the Neo is it was meant to have launched by now. Something has held the Neo back. I think it's the box goggle. I think they were waiting to announce it with the goggle and its features, and they haven't been able to do that yet because the goggle is behind. The goggle is delayed. So I think that's... Yeah, the goggle hasn't been through FCC yet either. And this is the issue. The goggle hasn't even been through FCC. We don't know if the Neo can be flown in manual with the RC2. We just don't know. RC3 it will be. RCN3, not RCN2. I doubt the goggles will be... I would expect the new goggle to have the same compatibility as the Goggle 3. They are loosely based on the Goggle 3 from a software perspective, I would say, and a hardware perspective in some elements. We think it's a single display, but we don't know. It could actually be 2 mirrored LCD displays, but I think it's a single. But if it is a single, DJI must have done something interesting. But I think DJI pushed back the Neo. Why a box goggle? Because they want a cheap goggle to go with a cheap drone. You have to understand this new goggle is not for FPV users. This new goggle is not for you or me or anyone in this stream. This goggle is to be able to sell a cheap FPV drone, i.e. the Neo, with a cheap set of FPV goggles. It is not designed for the standalone community. Remember, the Goggles 3 aren't even designed for the FPV community. The Goggles 3 are designed for the Avata 2. So DJI will... It's going to be for the Neo. You know, I don't know what the price point on this box goggle or budget goggle, though. I'm calling it a box goggle. Use that term loosely. It's a budget goggle to go with the Neo is what it is. Box goggle is not necessarily the right term to use. It's a budget goggle to go with the Neo. Don't think of box goggle like the Carex ones. You got to think a bit outside the box here. This is DJI. A budget goggle, not a box goggle. That's the term I should use. We don't know for sure. The hints are it's a single screen, but let's wait and see. It could be two screens mirrored. Budget goggle, not necessarily box. I used the word box goggle incorrectly on this. Yeah, the Neo, I'm not sure. I don't even think I'm going to order a Neo myself. I don't... Look, this product is not for us. The Neo is a budget drone to get people into FPV. It is directly aimed at people who can't fly. You know, that's what this drone is about. It's really not for us. You know, look, if you look on X, there are videos all over X on this thing. So... You know, this drone, it's already out there because DJI have ended up delaying the launch. Why don't we see more DIY OLED analog box goggles? Because the OLEDs are just too expensive. The optics are almost impossible to do as well. You know, look, this thing is not aimed for us. I'm sorry, but it is not aimed for us. Here's a video of it flying. It's loud as well. It sounds really, really loud. Really loud. It's not really a tiny whoop. I'd class it 3.5 inch. Yeah, freestyle quad. Shell would be great. That's a small lens on the front as well. Look at that. That's not even the O3 camera. That's not even the O3 camera. That I can tell that from the lens. It might be the same sensor, but it's not. It's not even the O3. Doesn't handle the wind well either. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. The hills of FPV. Looks like they're trying to get new people hooked. 100%. It's what it is. So what they're going to do is you're going to have a cheap drone, cheap set of goggles. But what they're doing is they're not going to sell this, right? So they're not going to sell this with the goggles in a package. What they're going to want to do is build up a accessory kit, which will end up actually being quite expensive in the end. So you'll probably buy the drone with a remote controller and battery for like $299 or something like that. And then you're going to pay another $250 or $300 for a set of goggles. And then you're going to pay $80 a battery. And then you're going to pay more money if you want the dedicated FPV remote. They're going to build up a budget drone with a lot of ladder steps to get it to the full kit. And that's what they'll do. You know, it'll be a cheap entry price, and then they nail you on the accessories. That's what this will be about. What is clear is it's going to ship with the RCN3, which is a brand new remote. It does apparently work with the FPV Remote 3, the Goggles 3, and the new goggles. But what we don't know is if you're going to be able, so where's the image? If you're going to be able to fly it in acro with the standard remote. That's the bit we don't know. It is not clear today if they're saying 340. It's also got hand gesture control as well. But it's just not clear if the RCN3 is going to give you acro mode, or you're going to have the FPV remote. Also note this, look. Look at this. Look, from beginner to pro with multiple control options. See, look at this. They're selling this already. Goggles, remote, smart controller. They're already selling this as it's going to be upgrade, 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 upgrade. Is what this is going to be. But here will be the real kicker, is if you buy it with the RCN, I suspect it is going to be controllable from your phone as well. Yes, I suspect it is. We don't know for sure, but I suspect it is. What we don't know is they're going to ship it with the RCN3, which is a new version of the RCN2, obviously, but with the O3 chipset. What we don't know is if this will allow acro mode. We do not know if that will allow acro mode. Because remember, the DJI remotes to allow acro mode have the ability to turn off the sprung throttle. Perhaps the RCN3 has that feature. Technically, the RCN2 was O3, O4 capable, but we're going to have to see. What would be a real boner for people, and this will be an interesting, is if you have to buy it with the RCN3 and it will only fly in the stabilized modes. And if you want FPV modes with FPV goggles, you have to buy the FPV Remote 3. But I would not be shocked if DJI screwed you that way. Be prepared for DJI to screw you that way. That when you buy it with the standard remote, you can only fly it in stabilized modes. And then when you've gone to fly in acro mode, you've got to have the FPV remote. Watch them line this up, because I can see it now. And that's how they will recover this cost of a $299, $350 FPV drone. They'll do it. Mark my words. Right. I'm going to wrap this one up here. I want to thank you for spending some time with me tonight. We should be back same time, same place next week. Thank you to everyone who's donated on the Super Chats. Before we end it, though, please do consider checking out links to my Patreon, buy me a coffee, as well as my Discord and Wiki in the description. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. We'll be back again same time, same place next week. Good night.